I'm chaplain at Wycliffe Hall currently, and share my time with chaplaincy there and up the road as interim minister at Wolvercote and Whiteham, which is two small parishes on the edge of Oxford. And I've been here for about 3.5 years. I came to Oxford to do some more academic study in theology. And before that, we were in Chichester running a bishop's mission order. So we were effectively pioneer ministers, although we weren't licensed as such. When I say we, I'm referring to my husband, Steve, who's also ordained. And we've done all sorts of things in the past. Lots of overseas mission, lots of creative stuff. We've both been involved with media and Steve with music. And I've done a bit of contemporary dance and creative writing in the past. I've done lots of things. Creativity is all around us. God is a creative God. God created us to be creative. If we're made in his image, then we're creative too. And I think one of the great ways of doing mission, and it doesn't have to be a really obvious way of actually being creative. Sometimes when we talk about creativity, we imagine we have to be an artist or a ballet dancer. But of course, there's so many ways that we're creative. And I think there are natural ways that creativity plays a part in mission. For me, my particular focus today is actually running creative writing workshops. And I found through all sorts of opportunities in the past that I've just naturally gathered people around and we've written together. I've learnt some really helpful exercises in the past, which have given building blocks to people who are starting out in writing. Which enable them to explore creatively all sorts of stuff that's locked away. So over the years, I've had opportunity to gather together people of all ages and backgrounds, and not necessarily from a Christian background at all, and not even aware they're exploring faith, who've been given an opportunity together with others to write and to see what falls out on the page. And of course, naturally, not surprisingly, a huge amount of spirituality appears. A lot of their life story, their narrative is there. And of course, as they share, because I always encourage people to read a little bit of what they've been writing. I don't make anyone do that. But actually, I think when someone has written something they're quite surprised about, they're quite ready to read. And in that instance, it's incredible what begins to emerge. And you get quite deep with people quite quickly that way. It's very different from just sitting having conversation in a cafe over a cup of coffee, talking about the weather and then seeing where it goes. You know, actually when you're given a particular exercise to do, one of the classic ones I start with, just to get people writing, to get them warmed up, is I remember when. And I then get them to write for 5 minutes without thinking. And it's extraordinary what spills out. It could be something they've remembered from years ago, from their childhood, or it might be something last week or something this morning. But there's always something in there that's worth sharing and that surprises them, something quite subconscious. I think if we're going to encourage our own creativity, we need to be exposed to different creative forms. And creativity comes to us in all sorts of ways. We don't necessarily have to go to the National Gallery to look at paintings, to be provoked in our own creativity. There's all sorts of ways of doing that. I mean, it could be just picking up a little bit of knitting or exploring a little bit of felting or something. There are all sorts of very simple ways. I think it's finding the surprises and finding the things that we connect with, the things that we're drawn to. So I would encourage people, if there's an opportunity particularly to go on some sort of workshop or to go and see some new exhibition, whatever it is, particularly if it's something out of the ordinary they don't normally do, go along and see what happens. I'm amazed at even simple sessions at Messy Church. In one of our churches, our church warden teaches people how to do basket weaving. And as people use their hands in a way they're not used to doing, it begins to prompt something within them. and it often moves them on to something else. So I think it doesn't have to be anything grand. It doesn't have to be booking onto an art course in a art centre, although that's always a good thing to do. It doesn't have to be taking singing lessons. There are some very simple things that we can do in just connecting and being attentive to those moments when we feel a pull within our spirits and think, yeah, gosh, that's surprising. Actually, I actually made something. We just don't leave room for it in our lives, I think, do we?